Hey, Catherine. Hey, Carl.
Good morning.
Joe, I kicked you. I'm sorry.
Hi, guys. My camera. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. All right.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
I was
Somebody's gotta be in charge of the thing.
oh, really sorry. And
Hope you liked your meeting. Later.
sorry.
Naga. I hope the training was good. No, it was perfect. It was right on time. Someone's got to keep us on track. Thank you.
If it's the president of the United States, just start saying goodbye because we gotta go. All right, here comes Brett. Hey, Jen.
What is up?
Hi, Brett. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hi, Brett.
How's it going? I'm just clearing out of my Slack real quick. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I can't believe you brushed your hair for this, dude. I'm so honored, man.
Dude, I got the flow going. You know what? I got to shoot I have to shoot I'll show you guys. I have to shoot.
Too sexy. Thanks for
This
bringing
is what's happening right after you. So there is in our new website that's getting built, I have to shoot the video that's going right there. So that happens at 1:30 today. So I do have like a hard stop at 12:55-ish because I have to get up to Edgewater.
That's fine. Thanks for telling
Hi,
us.
guys.
What's up,
I'm
Jen?
doing content right now. Do you guys give me authority to keep you up on the big screen while you're training or no?
Yeah.
I can minimize you.
Yeah, Brett, Jen zooms us into her office and they get all the goodness straight from the source.
It won't be the first time Jen zoomed one of my masterminds into her office. So I'm totally fine with that.
Cool.
Let's
Jen,
just keep it
actually, I
let's just
have a quick question for you while I have you, and everybody might win.
Uh-oh. Okay, go ahead.
What are you shooting your videos with right now? Your new videos that have been going out.
Where? My videographer is right here.
Okay.
You can't have them, but no, we do. Does Cameron does everything. We're actually doing TikToks all day today. Reels, content. I'm doing announcements about the school. We're doing recruiting for the office. So we have him come in. I mean, we have a set schedule of everything we're doing. So right now we're doing about 3 weeks worth of content.
Well, keep
But
up
he
the
just
good
uses
work.
he comes with the teleprompter and all that stuff so that we're ready.
It's
Scripts
being,
are already, we already have our scripts set out. Everything's kind of ready to go when he comes in.
keep up the good work. I've noticed.
Does that
it.
answer it?
Yeah, your stuff looks good, Jen.
Yeah,
Cool.
I would say, Jen, I
Thank you.
would talk to Jonathan Kirk about optimizing all your videos on YouTube through SEO and all that stuff too, with how much content you're putting together, or her.
Cool. Thank you.
Got it.
All right, let's should we get started?
Yeah.
Yep.
Rock and roll.
If you're on our real estate team and you can turn your camera on, that would be awesome. What's the saying? You wouldn't go to a meeting with a bag on your head.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love participation. Brett came here to join us. So I'm going to intro Brett. Brett, thanks for taking the time, man. Brett is one of our partners here at EXP. Brett is Brett's been a friend of mine for a long time. Brett's had some really awesome growth with his business, and he comes from contribution, and he's joined us before and just knocked it out of the park. And in our real estate team, right? Well, first of all, this training, thanks everybody for coming. This is open to anyone in the world. We do this every single Thursday, different time zones, different brokerages, different whatever. What we believe is that you're some of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, right? We believe that together we achieve more, and there really isn't competition. There's so much business out there. And we also believe that we're all going to work together in some capacity in the future with technology disrupting, and I just think with everything changing, the agents that are doing 1 or 2 deals are going to disappear, and no matter what, the top agents are all going to be working together. So it's best that we stick together and share best practices. In our organization, we've always been really, really, and I think this is a lot of realtors, when the real estate agent becomes the mega agent, and then the mega agent starts the team, and then the team becomes the mega team, what starts to happen is we have to feed our agents, right? And I think a lot of realtors start off in their business, let's be honest, right? I'm looking around the room, a lot of us, it's a popularity contest in the beginning, right? Like who knows the most people and who's buying and how many of those people are buying houses, right? So we work a lot of our sphere of influence, and then we begin to do our past clients and things like that. And then we have internet leads, right? So then we hit a ceiling and we want to sell more houses. Then we start marketing, we start putting ourselves out there, we start purchasing leads, aligning with channel partners, and our team has aligned with Realtor.com, with Zillow, all these different partners. And what Brett's had a lot of success having different types of lead gen sources, and one of them is internet leads. He's going to talk about how he successfully cornered that market and converted those leads. And Brett, can you tell us a little bit about your growth over the last couple of years and what that looks like, and team members and things like that?
Yeah, so I got into the business in 2007. It was probably one of the worst times to get a real estate license. June of 2007, the world was just about ending. I think I made $500 my first 6 months or 12 months or something like that, and I ended up failing as a real estate agent. So I've actually come back into the business twice. I tell everybody that because I lived through the grind. I had the 520 credit score. I had the unpaid IRS bills. I had everything that you can think of that realtors go through. And I've lived through it. So I bring that up because none of this, everything that like we do is not easy in any way, shape, or form. From there, I went to the car business. That failed October of 2008, Lehman Brothers, people committing suicide. Like it was just really the world ending kind of thing. Fell back into real estate, did a lot of rentals, understand that world quite well, made a lot of money doing rentals, and then grew into more of a buyer's agent. So that's why internet leads was a really good transition from being able to close rentals from the tenant and landlord side of things. We were hunting them down online. There was constant follow-up, constantly adding value to that person's life and solving the solution to the problems that they had or did not know that they had. So with that, I became, a lot of you probably know David DeVoe. I was David DeVoe's right-hand man for quite some time, about 3 or 4 years. And we helped grow that organization. Then I decided he and I were just 2 similar personality types. We couldn't work at that same, level with each other. So we decided to part ways within the real estate world, within the real estate teams. We're still partners at EXP. And I started the Sikora group in 2016. So year 1, I want to say I did like 13 million in volume. Year 2, that was basically just me. Year 2, I did probably 29-ish or something. Like we started doubling or going up by 15 million a year. Year 3 was 2018. We did 46 million. That was our last year at Keller Williams. And then we jumped to EXP Realty. That's when I aligned with Dan Beer, Kyle Whistle, actually Joe Oz. Joe and I knew of each other, but we didn't really know each other until January 2019. So that's when we all leaped over to EXP together. That year we did 85 million. 2020, we did 123 million in volume. And this year, I believe, and I was trying to pull it up right before the call. I didn't get it. I think we've passed 100 million so far this year, actually closed. So we'll do, and we're hitting our seasonality as well. So we should do about 210, 220 million this year. We've leapt up, 90 million in volume just in the last 12 months. So for us, that's our biggest growth year so far. And there's a lot of nuggets that go into squeezing every lemon to make all that juice flow from every single angle. And internet leads was something I always excelled at. And I feel like a lot of agents think they're good at it, but they suck at it. And actually, I'm happy Scott Mawson's on here too, because he was David DeVoe's ISA too. This guy's no stranger to internet leads either, right, Scott? So I'm an open book. Guys, ask me any questions you can think of. I have kind of a loose, this isn't a formal presentation. I just have a loose, 6 or 8 bullet points that I want to cover. I'm gonna kind of peel back the onion on certain things that I feel like go into this cocktail to make you really good at doing this. And that reminds me of the last one too. But yeah, so let me dive into it. I mean, before I start, any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how many agents are on your team?
So we have, from those numbers, about 19 are producing. And then we have the other 10 or so. So there's like 32 agents, 10, 12. We have part-timers. We don't hold them to the same standard that we do our other agents. They come into the team and understand that like they want to do this, and this. They're here to, help with open houses, that sort of thing. So they're in that body count, but they're not hammering the accelerator until they decide that they want to leave corporate America. So Right now, in order for us to hit our goals, it is a body count issue that we're having, and it's not, that's for 2022, which we're shooting for 500 million in volume. So we know, how many agents we need and everything like that.
For sure, man. And then, yeah, if you could just take us through the different channels, like what, yeah, like a lot of us are new to internet leads. A lot of us have just done like, a lot of us are using Opcity, Ojo, Zillow Flex, all these, like, are you using, Warren, what's the one, the Google verified? You know what I'm talking about, right, Brett?
Yeah, Google Screened.
Google Screened, yeah.
Google
like,
local services.
Yeah, like what, yeah, if whatever, yeah, take us through what you would take through, like what's working, what isn't working, what can you just do better and things like that.
Sure. So I'll start, since we're on Google local services. I'll start there. I have not cracked the code to that. I have it allocated so that here, I'll actually show you. Jen, I Googled you too, by the way. I wanted to see if your content's coming up, and that's why I brought up the SEO. I'm not creepy. I was trying to help. But like Hoboken listing agent, we weren't getting the amount of like I would spend between us, I would spend 30,000 a month on Google local services if they would let me. And I still only rank. Jill's up here. She's my main competition locally up here. Dukansky's obviously competition for everybody. The Bonks there with us, Chris Ozar. I'm all the way down here. So we knew that. I called Google. I said, what the hell, guys? I want to spend a lot of money with you. Why am I not getting more come list me calls? Because that's what they are. I mean, we put it down as buyer's agent, seller's agent, first time home buyer, and luxury properties. You can add a whole gambit of other things in there as well. But they were saying one of our things were reviews. So I'm glad you brought that up, because look at how recent this, we have 23 reviews 4 days ago, 1 week ago, 1 week ago, 1 week ago. We just started hammering this. We're going to win at the Google game, just so all of you know, and I can report back on that in 6 to 8 months, but I have not winning at the Google game yet.
But I know that's coming up. What about, yeah, if you can go in, are you guys using Ojo, Opcity? Like what's the process look like when someone calls in? Like, are you trying to get them pre-approved? Like, what does this all look like?
Yeah, so we run off of the Kyle Whistle's Buy or Die campaign. And basically what it is new lead comes in right here, war dial. So just that's hammer away. I mean, everybody has a different thought behind that. For me, war dialing would be, maybe calling once, don't leave a voicemail if they don't answer. Call a second time, leave a voicemail. Call a third time that afternoon from a different number, from an office number. Another thing we've done as well, this is when I was working with DeVoe, because he would make me do it, but always made me uncomfortable. But uncomfortability causes that growth. Was call people 3 times in a row, but don't leave a message. They will call you back every single time. They want to know why you called them 3 times. Who was it? Who's on fire? Who do I need to talk to? So with that always worked. I wasn't crazy about it. It felt a smidge sleazy to me, but I promise it will work. And then you have text messaging as well. That's the next thing. And then you want to go into video email. We always use BombBomb. I'm a big BombBomb guy. I literally sent a BombBomb right here. Who will change your life? So I literally just shot one out 24 minutes ago. That went to my whole team. And actually it was based on what I was thinking of, talking about here. So with that, it was like a who will change your life and approaching. I'll actually just touch on that real quick. Every single lead that comes in, understand, or every single person that you're having a conversation with, whether it's me, Jen, Joe, your father's best friend, whoever it may be, understand that person could be the person that could absolutely change your life. Like they could be the gatekeeper to one of the largest private equity funds that wants to buy 27 homes this month. Or they could be the Zillow offers person that's going to open it up in New Jersey and has, say about who's going to come into that, and boom, you just immediately just added 200 transactions to your belt if you can actually handle that. But new lead comes in, boom, 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 contact made. So yes, we go into the qualified. No's easy. No goes into the pond, the die plan, where you just start to calls. Daily week 1, weekly the first month after, text weekly month 1, 1 monthly thereafter, and then email alert daily. Make sure everybody's on e-alerts, whether or not you talk to them or not. Whatever, and I hope everybody knows, use a goddamn CRM. I hope I don't have to tell people that. I don't care which one you use as long as it has an IDX aspect to it. Core fact alert monthly. I actually don't know what core fact is. So if anybody here knows what that is, I would say that for us would be more of like a home bot or something, which sends out property values and stuff and gives them a little more information. And then video bi-monthly thereafter. Kyle Whistle, for instance, uses viral marketing. So that's his bi-monthly video that he's talking about. If you're not familiar with viral marketing, it's VYRAL. Go check it out. And you can send out basically set it or forget it. You create the video, you create the content, they shoot it out to your database, edit it, send back the lists of the open clicks, that sort of thing, and the action that people are taking throughout that. So if you get a yes from that side of things, or you get a yes from the get with contact made, they move to qualify. This is super important, guys. This is for your sellers as well. Are they 0 to 30 days out? Are they 31 to 90 days out? Are they 91 to 180, 181 plus, or are they trash, no valid info, and not worth your time? Based on that, you're going to know what your follow-up plan is going to be. But the biggest mistake that I see agents make is they have too many people in their hot bucket, and they have, like, when somebody's like, oh, I have 10 buyers and they're all missing out on buying war or bidding wars, and I can't get one offer to stick. Like, has that happened to anybody where you just feel like you're in this, like you cannot clear out your pipeline? It's because you don't have the right buyers in your hot bucket. Those buyers have not been set up properly and they're not truly motivated. If somebody wants to own a home, my wife and I, we wanted to own a home that we offered on the first home the first home we decided we were going to own, we bought. We got our offer accepted. There was nobody that was going to beat us on that home because I had it contextualized in my head that I can pay $25,000 more than these people. I'm locking 2.75% on a jumbo mortgage. Like that's unheard of. I'm going to make that back in interest the next 3 years. So find out who's actually supposed to be in that hot bucket, because I would venture to say that there are a ton in Nurture, Watch, and Archive that should be in the hot bucket, and there's a ton in hot that should not be in there. If you have 30 hots at all times, you'll probably sell 30 homes that year. That's usually how that works. So don't, and also you should really only be like focusing heavily on the hots. And I see a lot of people that over follow up with nurtures or watch, or don't follow up with hots enough. And then like I get texts all the time, hey, what should I do? They just bought a property using somebody else. Like, well, you should follow up. You should have had them in your hot bucket, and you should have followed a plan to actually follow up properly. So that didn't, like, that stings, guys. If that hasn't happened to you yet, that really stings. And that has to do with following a plan and also being the best version of yourself. Like that's typically what, like I mentioned, it is so important. I feel like agents just don't spend enough time worried about their skills, like worrying about how are they going to be better than what their competition is. And I think that like the difference between like me, for instance, I'm obsessed with competing against the best in my market. Like I have an obsession with beating them. I don't give a shit about new agents. I'm going to steamroll them in a listing appointment. I love going up against my direct competition. And Joe, you can probably vouch for this too. Jen, you too. Like how much fun is it to beat Jen? Like if Joe beat Jen or vice versa, like you guys are freaking good at what you do. Like that's so much more exciting than just getting a deal, you know?
Yeah, that's a theme that I've heard a lot recently, is just like being the best version of yourself, right? Like literally before this call, Jill Keating and I were on a one-on-one and we were role playing the Zillow Flex script, right? Like, and she was asking me, she's like, well, do I sound like I was reading from a piece of paper? I was like, yeah, that's the first time you did it and you did great. And we just got to practice it. And then, you know, if I can riff on that, it's like, you just got to get in it, man. Like, you know, what if I don't, like, I remember being scared of the rebuttals, right? Like, well, what if I don't have the rebuttal? Well, you're going to get beat on a rebuttal. That's fine. But if you get beat on that rebuttal twice, that's when you're a loser, right? Like you got to, like, if you get beat on it, like, well, they said their cousin's a realtor and I didn't know what to say. Then you call Brett, be like, Brett, dude, can I run a rebuttal past you? And you figure it out. And then that's another one in your toolbox, right?
Yeah. You just, you have in everything. And this goes back to, we're not going to go from 123 million to 215 million this year in volume by just avoiding that like awareness of why we're failing. Like we know when we lose, we become better with that. I know when my profit and loss is off as an operator that I did something wrong 6 months before that. Like I own that. I live in that. And what I tell people is like, there's an agent that heavy listing agent, and he was saying to me, he's like, listen, Brett, I keep going on appointments and I'm not converting. There's nothing else I can do. And I'm like, all right, well, Patrick Southern's probably the best scripted dude. Mike Ferry to the core. He's who brought me and DeVoe into this business back in 2009 or so, or kind of took us under his wing. And everybody knows him up by us. And I said to him, I was like, well, if you went up against a listing presentation, or if you went up against Patrick Southern on a listing presentation, or if he was calling your clients, who would win that battle? And he's like, probably him. I'm like, so are you as good as him? And he's like, no. And I'm like, so what can you do to become as good as him? And like, you just have to continue to have that awareness, because Patrick wasn't who Patrick was 18 years ago. Patrick started to put the time in. And I feel like so many people lose focus of that. A good exercise too, guys, to think for yourself, and I love doing this for myself, is on a scale from 1 to 10, how well are you operating right now? Like how hard are you playing? Like where do you rank yourself? And if you say a 10, you're full of shit. I put myself at like a 4, honestly. I'm capable of so much more than I do, but I get tired. I like to have a couple beers at night sometimes. Like I don't operate in that optimal state nonstop. My evening routine's not always what it should be. I have a newborn that ruins my nights and mornings. Like I sleep when I can, but it's okay. It's about having that like awareness to constantly be better than you were the day before. So go in there and audit yourself and be truthful and say, all right, well, if I'm a 4, what does a 10 look like? And what am I going to do in the next 30 to 60 days to become a 10? Is my perfect follow-up plan operating at a 2 out of a 10 right now? If I were to do it like that, what would happen to my business? And if I did that for the next 30 to 60 days, what would happen then? And here's the fun thing. When you guys play at the level 10 of what you think you are or think it would be in the next 60 days, that then becomes a level 4. And that's how growth happens. Like you have to constantly apply that pressure to yourself to become a better version of yourself. Tony Robbins said, he used a golf shot as an example. And I thought it was great, because anybody who's ever like hit a driver off the tee knows that if the face is square on a 300-yard drive, you're going right down the middle. But if the face is just off by like a smidge, an absolute smidge, you're flying 60 yards to the right. So when you're thinking about where your trajectory is going to be 5 years from today, it's that alignment. It's that daily drive coming through that'll protect you from going 60 yards from the right 5 years from today. Everybody overestimates what they can do in 1 year and underestimates what they can do in 5. And that's why you see such different levels of growth in this business. That's why you see realtors that you were where they were 10 years ago, and now they're still where they are, or maybe they've even gone backwards. And it's because they don't have that awareness. It's like when you don't have money in your bank account and you don't want to look at it, but that doesn't really solve a problem. It's like, you know what I mean? Like when they can't, like, your account's about to overdraft or something. And again, I've lived there. I still live there sometimes where I'm like, oh shit, this is a lean month. Like, what am I going to do? I'm smarter. I have lines of credit. I have savings and stuff set up now, but I need to know, like, do I need to transfer money in? Because is this going to hit hard because we have a lag in our business right now? So start allocating, a buffer for yourself in regards to that. But I bring it up, guys, because it's all of this whole game is not difficult. When you talk to, a lot of salespeople that are dealing with internet leads, again, we just closed on our primary house. I keep calling security companies because I've never owned a single family home. I live in a high rise in Jersey City right now. So I'm calling security companies, and I'm finding that the people who are on the phone are way better salespeople than a lot of the people in my world. And people in my world make a hell of a lot more money than the people selling me ADT insurance. So, or not insurance, security systems. So I just go full circle with that, guys, because there is such a process, and you guys know what you should be doing anyway already to be better. So that's my long-winded way on the perfect follow-up plan. And then I can get a little more into our actual lead sources, internet leads wise.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
On that. So I had to, I got to sell a car, right? I got to sell a car, and we're having another kid, right? So I need the SUV. So I got to sell a car. I got to buy another one. Dude, I Googled, when you Google stuff and like the ad, like I Googled CarMax or whatever it is, where they like buy your car, like come to your house and buy your car or whatever. I Googled it, and I was like, I'm in my car and I'm going super fast. I just want to get this. I don't even care. I just want to get this car out of my life, right? Because I just bought another one or whatever. And so the guy, I'm trying to call CarMax and so anyway, I clicked the first thing on Google when I Googled it, and it was an ad. It wasn't CarMax, but I thought it was. I clicked it, and someone answered the phone. They're like, they said something, and I'm like, wait, is this CarMax? The woman goes like this: Do you have a car to sell right now? It was awesome. Like, so the script we use is when we have these, we have people inquiring about their house. Like, we have these internet leads where people are inquiring about the value of their home. And I'll reach out and be like, hi, this is Joe from the Joe Oz Real Estate Group. I just noticed that you were inquiring about your property. I just wanted to give you a call and introduce myself. They're like, whatever rebuttal comes out of their mouth, they're like, well, I just want to see the value of my house, or, I saw my neighbor's house. The next thing out of my mouth is, cool. What are your real estate plans for the rest of 2021? That was it. So the woman that caught me, I was like, is it CarMax? She's like, do you have a car for sale? I'm like, I just love what you just did. I love it. I cannot talk to you right now, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Totally, man. Totally. They're no joke, but they're trained in that way. They're trained with real salespeople constantly, and they're being paid a salary. So the standards that they're being held to are a lot higher than what we are a lot of times on that side of things. So you want to go in for the appointment. When we're talking about the internet lead appointment, so we just started with Zillow Flex in March. We get about 150, 160 connections a month right now. So we're pretty beefed up with them. There's a lot coming through, and we're constantly trying to build our team to be better with that. For those of you that don't know what Zillow Flex is, if you've never heard of that, Zillow's going away from their spend side of things, and they're going into more referral based business. They make more money off of it if it works, if it converts. So they ride you a little bit harder and hold you accountable to actually following up with their leads, or they're going to boot you off the system. But if you do your job well, they're going to add leads to it. So we started at 60 connections, and they basically 3x'd us since then. Since March. So it just the proof's in the pudding. If you show up and you do what you're supposed to do, Zillow rewards you with more deals. And then if I were to pay, we're paying $12,000 a month for 60 connections a month. A connection is somebody, by the way, that's a live transfer. It's ready to actually come through. You pick up the goddamn phone when a connection comes through, even if you're with clients, and go set an appointment. Like, do it. It doesn't matter if you got your client can hold for 5 minutes because you're giving somebody else customer service, because you make $5,000 or $10,000 if you just pick up that damn phone. So and follow the process properly. But where's it going with that? So yeah, Zillow monitors you very heavily, but they're not wrong in teaching us to do it the way that they're saying to do it. So Joe and I have been in the game for a while. Scott, Moss, and Jen. We know that when we were first trained, everybody had to meet at the office. Everybody had to sign a buyer agency form. Everybody had to be pre-approved before they went out anywhere. And I'm not saying for women, be careful if you're going out to a property in Jackson or something on 37 acres that on a Friday night, don't be, I just see Jen's in my thing, but yeah, those weird Jackson properties. So yeah, be careful with that. Obviously proceed with caution. Don't be an idiot. If it feels unsafe, bring somebody with you or something in regards to that. But they've found, and they have a lot of money to test this sort of thing, and I believe it's mainly millennial buyers, it's the younger people, that they just want to go see the damn property. They don't want to be sold. They want do you have a car to sell? They want to just get right into it. They don't want the fluff. I don't need a 12-minute pitch on some shit. I want to see a house. The guy in, we were looking to buy a house up in Woodstock in the Catskills this past summer. We were getting cabin fever in Jersey City. And I went on Zillow, and I actually tried to reach out to the listing agent directly on this thing. And somehow I still fell into their whole thing. Alex picked up the phone, gave me a live transfer. And this guy was trying to sell me stuff outside of Woodstock. And all he had to do was set me up on a drip campaign through his MLS that I was asking him to do. And he wouldn't, I'm going to curse. He wouldn't fucking listen. He just wouldn't listen to how simple it was. And I never wanted to talk to him again. I'm giving the guy a commission, and I never wanted to talk to him again because he couldn't just give me what I wanted. And that was instant satisfaction of what I want, which is to go see the goddamn property. And that's what the consumer wants. So when you bring them into that appointment, that's when how I use video for your follow-up. Yeah, I'll go into that in 1 second, but that's when you, actually go through the pre-qual with them. That's when you start building rapport. I like to set the appointment, and that's going to keep Zillow happy. And then I'll call them back a day before and say, hey, listen, are you still good for Saturday? Cool. While I have you out, is there anything else that you wanted to see while we're out there? and just start rolling into it that way too. It's always good to like give them what they want, and then you can just grab them, reconfirm. They're like, all right, cool. Jill asking a sample of a bomb video that I'd use for follow-up. I mean, I would say, hey, what's up, Jill? It's Brett Sikora. It's Thursday afternoon. We have a couple slots available this Saturday and Sunday for showings. I just want to see if you wanted to line up anything now that we've had more inventory come up past the 4th of July. Like that's vague, generic, like, now that the holidays behind us, just wanted to check in. We have a lot of inventory coming up. Are you still in the market? Do I need to tweak anything? Let me know. And I have my whiteboard right here, and, do it with the whiteboard, play all out, put Jill on the whiteboard. But that would just be a simple follow-up. Hey, Jill, it's been 3 months or so since I've heard back. Just want to check in, make sure you're still in the market. Do I need to tweak anything on my end to continue the search? That goes to my first topic too, that I wanted to touch on, was mindset. 2 books that you need to read: The Go-Giver and Fanatical Prospecting. Fanatical Prospecting is going to program your brain into understanding how to clear out that pipeline, make sure the right people are in it, and actually take action every single day so that you're not just slicing that golf drive off into the other fairway. You're actually keeping the arrow straight. And then the Go-Giver, that's going to give you the right mindset behind that. So what's really valuable and has been a game changer in my business is I have no attachment to the outcome of any follow-up, any listing appointment, anything whatsoever. I go in, I play all out. It's fucking showtime when I show up, and people can tell you, actually, Joe, I don't know if it was your call, or I remember I did one of these it was either yours or Sean Chaconis's. I don't remember whose it was, but I had a really bad hangover. We had like an event the night before or something, but nobody would ever notice that, because when that, like, I went from this to like this, and that was showtime. And then right after I got off the Zoom, I was just like, oh my God, I'm dead again. And I learned that from Mike Ferry, where it was like, he used Susan Boyle as an example, where when she showed up, when she came on stage in, way back when with America's Got Talent, she opened her mouth and it was fucking showtime. And Mike Ferry showed us that maybe in 2010 or something. I was at the Superstar retreat and I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I'm the type of guy that I would love to live off the grid in Alaska and have my wife and my son and never talk to anybody again. But that doesn't make money. So here I am, like this is, I don't like being out in front of people. I don't like being at a bar having conversation with a million different people. But that makes money, so that's why I do it. And I like helping people too. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's the core of this as well. But if you go at it with the Go-Giver mentality and you have no attachment to the outcome, like if somebody reaches out to you and buys through somebody else, they didn't fucking owe you anything. They don't owe you a transaction. Don't get all bent out of shape. Like, you didn't do your job right. You screwed up a while ago. And they don't owe you anything. And because you're wrong, you need to look within yourself and kind of figure out, what did I do wrong? How am I going to play this better? And this is a long game. So what I tell everybody, you may lose a sale, but never lose a client. So if you lost that sale, great, congratulate them. Check in a year from then. How'd it go? How's the new home? Like, how's everything going? I just want to check in. Do you need anything? Can I connect you with an electrician? Blah, 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 blah. That's what that book is all about. It's connecting people. It's giving the gift without any expectation of anything coming back to you whatsoever. And I promise when you do that, the universe is just going to repay you tenfold. And the client, the consumer, senses that as well. You don't have commission breath. You're not like trying to sell them something. I'm literally on the phone with somebody last night, like, hey, you go work with them. I don't care. Call me when it gets all fucked up. Like that's, I don't know, that's, I bring that up because that's definitely a big part of that. And then schedule too. I don't know if you guys want to touch on anything schedule wise or objection handling wise or anything. But
guys, on Jill, do you have anything? Anybody on our team? Any questions about this stuff? Brett sells like $1 bajillion worth of real estate. You guys, do you guys have any questions? We'll take it right while we have them.
Can I call on Jill since she's spoke up a little bit?
I have a bunch.
There's 2 Jills. There's Jill Pascal, Jill Keating. But yeah, you can call on either one.
Well, either Jill. I'll call on both Jills. Jill, what is your how many homes are you going to sell this year, Jill?
24 is the goal.
Okay. And what do your daily activities look like to get you there?
Follow up. using
Okay.
our CRM, setting the appointment, going on the appointment, building the relationships. And I feel like it's just over and over.
And on a scale from 1 to 10, how well are you doing that right now?
So I'm not going to lie to you. And I started, and I'm happy that you were honest and you said you have a newborn. I have 2 little kids. So am I a 10? No, because that little newborn fucks up your sleep, and 2 little kids also fuck up your schedule and your time. So I'm not doing what a 25-year-old who can be on her own schedule can do. And I know that, but I also have like released that I can't be that right now.
So
I didn't see it. So I'm
is
going
there,
to say,
is there anything that you could do in the next 60 days that could turn that into a 10? Because
I think
people do shuck and jive quite well as single moms and stuff like that too.
yeah, I bring them with me sometimes. So sometimes I just like say, all right, it is what it is. And I just make that a part of who I am, and they come. And if you don't like it, then you're not my people. I don't know. Like, I just have to do it the way I have to do it.
Which, by the way, I think that you will win more having the baby with you than you will
We're
without,
not
because
babies, but 7 and 5. So I just
yeah.
but that's me. That's my mom life. That's how I show up on social media. It is what it is, and it's messy sometimes. But they're little humans that do need to be fed and won't brush their own teeth and like all of that shit. So I feel like I have a good mindset on it, but it could be better. And I'm going to read your books.
So this is why we go through these activities on like the regulars. Everybody should be doing this because there's 1 or 2 things that are going to happen here. You're either going to adjust your life and figure out how to win in a way where you will sell 24 homes and the schedule will work for what you have with a 5 and 7-year-old, whether it's leverage and you hire help or you have a driver. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have a 5 and 7-year-old, so I don't know what it would look like, but I'm sure you could figure out how to make it look like that. Or the 24 might not be realistic either. And you're going to be out of integrity with your own goals and feel like you failed, when the reality is, what if you sold 18 homes? And I don't know, Joe, if I'm throwing off like minimum standards on your team or anything. What if you sold 18 homes and made $160,000? Like, would that be beneficial to you? Or do you need to sell 24 but fall short at 12? And that goes into, again, lowering the bar and just creating more of an awareness around this so that you can accomplish more in the next 5 years versus overestimating what you can do in the next year. And by the way, you can sell 36 homes in the next 12 months too. It's solely up to you. It has nothing to do with your kids or anything, but you need that awareness to it's not something I can tell you to do. It's not something Joe can tell you to do. You have to say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to hire a nanny. I'm going to stop using that excuse that I have a 5 and 7-year-old. And I use it. So I have it too. Like I used it in that call, but I know how I'm going to exit that excuse, because I'm not going to live in that excuse forever.
Because I figured out the health part, but I think you also have to say, am I willing to not do this and have someone else do it? And that's where I have to find my balance. So that's just personal issues, right? Like that's just.
No, I
like,
get that.
Do you want to feed your kid, or do you want someone else to feed your kid? Do you want to miss this or not miss it? Like that kind of thing.
And then that goes into a full-on audit. So if you're going to sell 24 homes a year, can you do it as a listing agent then and not be out with buyers, so that your time is used much more efficiently? And you still spend a lot of time with your kids. And then you're not doing the open house on the weekend and stuff like that too. Just think about it. Like, just constantly, it's the bank account with no money in it. You want to like actually have an awareness of, like, you want to have a game plan around, I've owed the IRS a lot of money back in like 2012, 2013. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to call the IRS and figure out how to get into that hole. So it just grew into something bigger than it needed to be. And then I called them and they're like, oh yeah, it's 4% interest. You can go on a 72-month payment plan and then you're good. And I'm like, oh, that was easy. Like there's it just have the awareness around it.
I can tell you, I also started, I feel like I like, you put those buckets on, like you have the hots, and then there's like these, I feel like I might be a person who spends a lot of time on the follow-ups that aren't hots. Like, but maybe I haven't met all the hots yet. I don't know. That was a start.
You get better too at figuring out what really is hot and what's not. And what I wanted to say too, another thing is, preparing your buyers, you have to be an expert in the market that you're working in. And that doesn't mean that you had to have sold 28 homes in that market in the last year. You can figure out, actually I'm going to call on Jen again, Jen Kuhn. But when we were doing these BPOs for her REO account, there were so many markets that I didn't have a freaking clue about. Like, I knew about them, but I didn't know like the nitty gritty of it. And we had to basically come up with broker price opinions, these long reports. And what I realized is that within like 2 hours of doing things properly, you can figure out anything that you need to know about a market. Unless you're getting into like real big custom home in Colts Neck or something like that. But where there's a lot of variables that come into it, probably ask for some help on something like that, 5 million and up kind of thing. But aside from that, like know your market and know how to prepare your buyer for it. Like, they need your guidance. And if you can only show 5 properties and get the first offer to stick, that's very efficient. You know, it's a very efficient use of your time. But if you have those buyers in the hot bucket that are offering on 10 different homes and getting smoked in every single bidding war because they're not willing to do what somebody else is willing to do, they're not actually a hot buyer. You know, they should sit on the sidelines. You could actually have that. They usually called a takeaway close, where you're like, listen, guys, why don't you just rent for another year? Why don't you wait 2-3 years for things to cool off? I mean, the prices might be higher then, but at least you won't have that competition. And Kyle Whissel actually said too, when the buyer, this was an objection handler that Kyle Whissel said that I thought was really good, is we want to only focus on homes that don't have bidding wars on it. And Kyle said, why would you want to buy the house nobody else wants to? Do you think it's going to be easy to sell it down the road? And it just, like, I thought it was such a good response, and kind of related, mostly unrelated, but it just made me think of it. But yeah, lower the bar, get into a daily routine, get into a daily habit. We kind of glanced over it too, but Jill, like that schedule should be dialed into. You should rattle off, like when I was a single agent and I was cranking, my answer would be, you know, it starts the night before. I map out my week on Sundays. I'm up at 6 o'clock every morning. I'm at the gym at 6:30, get home, shower, eat breakfast. I'm back in the office at 7:45. I have my role play partner set up. I have 5 different role play partners throughout the week. From there, I start prospecting from 8:30 in the morning. I never started at 8 a.m. 8:30 in the morning, I start calling expireds, FSBOs, and then I go into just sold, and then I start to go into my follow-up throughout the afternoon. And I take breaks throughout the day. And I know that if I hit my contacts throughout the day, that I do not have to do anything in the afternoon. So if I didn't set an appointment, I would just leave the office at 2 or 3. I'd go out on a boat. I'd go do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And I felt extremely accomplished because I did what I was supposed to be doing. That was 20, 25 contacts a day. That was, again, when I was a single agent, but my shit was dialed in. Like, if you got everything done that you were supposed to do by 2 p.m., you could spend a hell of a lot of time with your kids from 2 to 8 p.m., you know? But just, again, create that awareness and have that actual schedule in place and know what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and make sure that the things that are on your schedule are your highest income producing activities, because that's the only way you're going to really win at this as well. Too many people get bogged down. I actually saw a post on Real Estate Mastermind, which is like a toxic group in on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of us are members, and craziest shit. It's like EXP gets ripped half the time with stupid KW people or this post or that. Like, everybody's just feuding over stuff. And honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like we have such a good crew. It doesn't make a difference what brokerage we're at this point. We're all going to just roll together in a line, and we're going to keep growing and watching people, you know, in our rear view mirror, just blow them away. But with that, the reason why I brought it up is she was like, you know, I have this one buyer and I'm spending a lot of time on the MLS trying to find him something, but nothing's come up. And everybody's like ripping her for just spending time on the MLS looking for stuff. When the reality is, like, do you know how easy that is to beat out a buyer's agent that thinks that that's really beneficial to their client? Like, that's what I mean, is how do you be better? How do you beat me if I'm going after your client? And I know how I'll beat you. And that's adding a ton of value, going in. I'll fucking door knock a neighborhood. I don't give a shit. Like, fine, guys, go point out houses. I'll go walk up to their front door with you. I'll find out if they want to sell. I'll go above and beyond, and I'm not going to just go through the motions of this. And guess what? When you go above and beyond for your buyers, looking for off-market properties and truly doing what you're like, that's integrity, doing what you say you're going to do. The odds of me selling them a home in one of those neighborhoods is like 1 out of 20. We actually do a decent amount of off-market stuff, but it's not a crazy amount. But the amount of listings we get from that, from actually reaching out to sellers and approaching a seller with a different idea versus, you know, just your typical person who's calling like, hey, would you ever consider selling down the road? There's no inventory. It's like, no, I have Nancy and Ben are actually looking to purchase specifically in Somerset Heights. Would you ever consider selling at a record price? And like off markets, you have to deal with all the crap. We could be super flexible with the closing timeline and stuff too, so we can get you where you want to go. Then they're going to say, it's the same answer. Well, where would we go next? Well, I could do this for you too. And then you could double on that transaction. You can get into the next one. And you can create this parlay of off-market transactions, which it doesn't happen every time, but it does happen. And that is by you doing your highest income producing activities, going above and beyond for your client, being better. It's very difficult to beat out a client that is ruthless and going out of their way for another person, or beat out. Yeah.
You know, I'll rip on that, Brett. It's funny. We were talking about internet leads. It all comes back to like listings, right? And like leverage. I love it. So like, I say that every time, man. Like the realtors aren't doing anything. They aren't doing anything. They're all bumping into real estate. They're not prospecting, and they're just waiting for shit to happen. It just happens all the time, right? In our organization, you know, it's funny. Scott and I are talking about this, and we're connecting on this, dude. Every time I just pick up the phone for 2 hours and I call around a house we sold, somebody wants to sell. And the thing is, that person, by the way, that person that wants to sell is probably not moving. They're not moving that day, right? But they're probably moving the next 6 months, right? The amount of appointments that we've sent Sam Marks on just like, yeah, you know what? I'd love to know what it's worth. And the script, use the script. The script that we use is, you know, they're like, well, what do you think my house is worth? Well, that's a really great question. Actually, right now, the National Association of Realtors is saying there's 3 prices, right? There's a price that your house is worth, that your house would appraise for, which is very black and white, you know, based on comparables. There's a price that we should list your house at to bring a multiple offer situation. And then there's a price that your house would sell for in a multiple offer situation. And I can bring all that information if I come see your house, right? And then, Jill, the last 2 houses that we listed in the last 2 weeks, who sold those houses?
I did.
Yeah, you did, right? So due to our marketing efforts, we're double ending those things, right? So anyway, I love how this thing was about like internet leads, and now we're just going right back to it. But I think what Brett's talking about is like, how many houses do you want to sell? Does the audio match the visual, right? Like, do you have a time blocked calendar with activities that are going to get you to that number? Is that what you're kind of getting at, Brett?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm bopping around a little bit, and I can go into each one for like hours and hours and hours, and it requires that. But also like, even like, I brought that up because you're gonna get so many people who are like, oh no, they'll come in through Zillow. Oh no, I'm working with another agent. My friend's a realtor. All right, cool. Well, we do a lot of off-market stuff, and we actually prospect for properties specifically in neighborhoods that you're looking for. I don't care if she shows you all the stuff on the market, but would it be helpful if I started showing you stuff she can't show you? Like, that's just an objection handler. You're going to crack them open. You can't say no to that.
Yeah.
And that's a big one right now with everybody getting stuck in bidding wars and all. If you tell them like, listen, I understand that you're looking and you don't want to be in a bidding war. If you tell me the neighborhood that you're in and I could call that entire neighborhood, we may be able to find you something that's not on the market. And then boom, you don't have a bidding war. And as soon as they hear that, as soon as people hear that, they perk right up. Because like you just said, no one's doing that. No one's offering that. That's a massive value. And that's how you keep somebody out of a bidding war on a home that maybe everybody does want, but you know, nobody bid on it because no one knew that they wanted to sell it.
Yep. And sometimes people will pay more just to avoid a bidding war too. Like, that's an investor model. We do a lot of investment stuff too, and it's always been like that. They want to know, like, we'll always bring it to our best investor first, so we know we'll close cash in like 20 days. And we always know that if they don't want it, we'll move it on. But they also know that if I put that on the MLS, that I can fuck off. Like, they don't care. They want to be the only person that has a crack at it. They're going to give the seller a very reasonable number. But they don't want to run numbers on things and lose properties. So it's kind of like ties into that whole mindset behind that.
So Brett's got a hard stop in about 7 minutes because he's going to be a movie star making movies. Guys, we like to make this an open forum. You know, sometimes we just have like Sekou yelling at us for an hour, right, about our database. And kind of like, if you notice, like, I sat down. This is like, all right, cool. it's not like Siku's on, I gotta be like, I gotta be on my toes, right? I gotta be ready. But this is kind of more of like an open forum where like we like to come together, and this is awesome, dude. We've got people all over the country, people from different brokerages, all kind of sharing ideas. So what questions do you guys have, man? Throw it out there. You know, what questions do you have? What challenges? Like if one person has a challenge right now, or is there an opportunity that you see in the second half of the year? What do you guys have?
I have a question.
Jill?
So I just got a new listing, and it happens to be on a street where I also sold a house. I believe it was like a year and a half ago. So are there any opportunities that I should be doing? Like, are we still sending out just listed mailers? Obviously I should be circle prospecting, I'm sure, the neighborhood. I'm hosting 2 open houses this weekend. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, congratulations. I would 100%. We can help you, right? Like Laura, like Jill's in our group, by the way. She's joining our group. But we Brett, meet Jill. Jill's joining our group. But so anyway, we can get you a list and get you on a dialer. I would 100%. I would call that let's say Thursday. I would call that neighborhood today or tomorrow and invite the entire neighborhood to your open houses. I would also say, like, if your open house is from like, are your open houses 3 hours or 4 hours?
I only did 1 to 3. I'm doing it Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3.
Perfect. And so guess what? I would say, you know what? We're holding an open house from 1 to 3. The first hours for the neighbors. We'd like to have a VIP, like we'd like to have the neighbor, we can invite the neighbors, but I would call and invite all the neighbors to the open house so they can come and see the property. The script we use is like, hey, by the way, this is Jill. I don't know if you know me. I've sold a few houses in this neighborhood. I would mention the one that you did sell. I'd say, hey, we listed 123 XYZ Street. It has 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. We are asking blah, 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 blah. And by the way, part of our marketing plan when we list houses at Jill Tescon Realty is we usually call the neighbors first and let them know that we have a house hitting the market. We like to call this pick your neighbor time. Okay. If you had an opportunity to pick your neighbor, or, like, let's get the word out, I'm sure you love that. And then I would invite the neighborhood to the open house. Definitely. And then when it sells, I would call the neighborhood again. And then, by the way, any neighbors that when you're at an open house, right? If you hear a realtor come back to the office on Monday and you're like, how was your open house? They're like, oh, it was horrible. It was just like nosy neighbors. That's a dumb realtor, because all those nosy neighbors are checking you out because they're thinking about selling their house. So they're coming to interview you, just so you know. Brett, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say too, and that gets easier the more, like, had you called when you sold the last one there, then this would be a really powerful follow-up call, because they would have already known you too. And that's why it's just great to get going, like just start taking action around it. And yeah, I love the neighbor open house invite. Like, I think that's, bring them in 12 to 1. And when you're thinking about all these things too, just keep in mind, like, if you've never dialed, if you've never done that, I don't like dialing. I don't like presenting. I don't like talking. I like laying on my couch, hanging with my family. I made that, clear from the get. But this makes money, and being uncomfortable makes money. So if you like, if I'm like, Jill, you got to call 500 people before the end of the day tomorrow, or you're fired and you can never be a realtor again. That like feeling that like hits your body. And like, if I actually said, no, here's the dialer, like, get on here, I'm hitting start for you. That feeling, that uncomfortableness that's coming from that is you earning more money. That is like so you get, it's going to turn into, when you really push the envelope, that it feels weird if you're not uncomfortable. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, you get so used to living in a level of like discomfort from pushing the accelerator that like you almost get addicted to it. Which then you have to like start working on a work-life balance and all that stuff too. That's when you're like just going too hard. But
besides like the circle prospecting, are we still doing like flyers? Does that make sense? Like the just listed and then follow up with under contract and then just closed?
Is that in the neighborhood that you want to break into, or is that just a random neighborhood?
Kind of just a random neighborhood.
Okay. So like, what, if you want to go for it, I mean, what I did when I was a single agent was, so I would go out Saturday morning at like 10 a.m. and I would door knock. What are they, like the 10 to the left, the 10 to the right, and the 10 across the street, and the 10 behind it? It's like 40 houses. And just invite the neighbors, man. With like, and by the way, I don't leave trash on people's doorsteps. They do that in Orange County. If there's an open house, they will hire someone just leave like notepads on everyone's doorstep. They just leave like trash on people's doorsteps. I don't leave things. If I want a face-to-face, and that's kind of it, man. I don't stick my business card in your mailbox. I don't like hide a business card underneath the doormat. What I do is if I meet you face-to-face, I just say, hey, hello, by the way, we're having an open house. I don't know if you call what Brett said. If your open house is from 1 to 3, you can get there at 12 and you can invite the neighbors. You say, hey, I'm going to have a VIP neighbors only preview from 12 to 1. I'm going to have donuts and coffee or whatever. And we'd love to have you guys in there. Blah, 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 blah. So
mimosas and bagels.
Mimosas and bagels. And I would do the door knocking, man. It takes an hour, man. And like, I had fun with door knocking. I would like do like map my run or whatever. I'd be like, oh my God, I walked 2 miles or whatever, you know, and I would just go up and I would get there around 10 and just make a day out of it and say, hey, I'm going to be here today and tomorrow. Put out your signs like before you door knock at like 9 a.m. Like this is if you really want to go for it, right? This is like what Gary Keller called the seventh level open house. Like set up your signs Friday night, you know, on all the main corners, you know, or set up your signs Saturday morning, pick them up Sunday night, pick them up Monday morning, you know, and door knock the neighborhood, invite everybody, get there an hour early each day. And when you call everyone and say that's a VIP 1 hour, mailers, dude, I don't know. Brett, I don't know. Dude, just listed, just sold in a random neighborhood that you're not hitting constantly and just blanketing, I think does not work. And I know that because I did it for 2 years. Every time I sold a house for 2 years, I did a just listed, just sold to the closest 150 houses. No response. Now we mail a farm we did for 6 months. We did every 2 weeks for the first 6 months, now every month. And now we've just layered on community events in that neighborhood. And we just Sam Marks just went on we got like 1.5 million listing appointment that he's pretty sure he's going to sign up. That's going to be our first farming. Like we've been farming for a year and that's usually when it hits, it starts, you get attention and traction in about a year. Does that answer your question, Jill? Is that helpful?
Yeah, that was helpful. And I'm just going to point this out. This is what I got. I'm going to just have skinny popcorn. I got it from another realtor. I thought this was so cute.
Jill, we have
Like
the
the
same
Bobby
name and I did that too.
Oh, you did? I thought that was genius. It makes it like,
I put on the little, like, I put the popcorn in the bags in a little basket and then I put the sign on the basket.
I think that was genius. I think it's cute.
Where did you guys get that idea? That's awesome.
Another realtor.
Etsy, Pinterest.
Hell yeah. Yeah. You guys should connect in the chat or whatever, share ideas or just connect. But that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, and like Brett said, don't get abducted or stolen or murdered, but like door knocking is awesome. And dude, if you get 5 people to answer, dude, when I door knock, the 5 people that answer, they come. It's crazy. They show up and they say hello. And the people that come are usually interested in making a move in the next 12 months.
And I'll say, and this goes back to the buy or die campaign and everything that I shared earlier, is like you don't just door knock to door knock, have a completion of the process. What's your follow-up plan going to be? Start thinking about like, what does that nurture turn into for that seller? Google some of that. There's so much stuff on YouTube, but like create a plan and stick to it. And lower the bar around it. Like I'd rather you go knock on 20 doors once a month and get 2 people that might like have some interest in your business. And then those 2 people, you have a plan so that you can continue to add value to them once a quarter and have that 33 touch campaign or something. But like, I see so many realtors leave the nurtures behind or leave this behind or take a little bit of action and then stop doing that action, or they only take that action in the get, but they don't care about the completion of the sales cycle. Like there's so much that happens after you hit this point that you have to bring it back around. And that's where you make the money. Like it's in that 6 to 12 follow-up.
A really great follow-up right now is when whoever you talk to, any of the neighbors that you talk to in that neighborhood, when you're door knocking, I would just be like, I know for our numbers is we're having an average of 60 people come through in the first week of a house, including the open house. And then we're having an average of about 12 offers on each one of our properties. And on average, our houses are selling somewhere between 5 and 8% over asking price. Would you guys like to know where this thing winds up when it sells? Would you like me to reach out to you and tell you where this thing actually sells for? They're going to say, yeah. They're going to be like, hell yeah. And that's when you gather information. And then another follow-up is we've had agents in a neighborhood, when you have multiple offers, right? You're going to get multiple offers, right? And then you're going to have like, you take 3 offers with you, you like black out or white out like the names of the clients and the addresses, and you just door knock and say, hey, you know what? I just listed and sold 123 XYZ Street. We had 3 offers. Here they are. And by the way, I have 2 people that didn't get the house. They're dying to get in the neighborhood. Have you ever thought of selling? Those are like really powerful follow-ups.
And Shane, I knew you were gonna probably stalk in on this, so I grew the beard out this morning for you.
Thank goodness, man. I was looking on there. I said I gotta go in and see if Brett's got a beard, because if he doesn't, I'm fucking turning this thing right off. You know what I mean? And I'm getting out of there, because I mean, I give Joe the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he can grow a beard, but you know, most guys, you know, if they can, should have one. So that's just my opinion. Thank you.
All right, guys, I've got to rock and roll. Shoot me a friend request, reach out to me.
Thank you, Brett.
Everything.
Thank you. I hope you guys found some value there. Brett, dude, thanks for joining us. That was really, really awesome. And Jill, if you want to talk more on that, shoot me a text. I'm glad you asked that
Thank
question.
you, Brett, dude.
Thanks, Brett.
Awesome stuff.
Thank
Later.
you.
Shane Bond, I'm calling you.